Over the last few centuries, scientific and technological advances have transformed our societies and continue to have unanticipated consequences on how we function as individuals, how we relate to each other, how we interact with the environment, our planet, and its resources. Over the past decades, the pace of scientific and technological development has accelerated, in part because there are today more scientists and engineers active than in the past, and in part because the tools they have access to are becoming increasingly powerful and sophisticated. One of the most recent developments in this area, machine learning and artificial intelligence, is, I think, a perfect example of this. AI is not only a perfectly fascinating topic in itself, it generates tools which dramatically accelerate, improve the ability of scientists in other disciplines to gain knowledge and gain technological breakthroughs. And what better evidence of that than the news yesterday that the physics Nobel Prize was given to two machine learning experts, in part because physical principles were used to develop machine learning architecture, but more importantly, because machine learning has become an essential tool in allowing physicists to gain new knowledge, be it through the generation of new materials, be it in their ability to go through vast amounts of data that we collect about the infinitively large through our telescopes and satellites, or the infinitively small through all the accelerators in this world, and in particular, of course, the one here at CERN. Anyone who's been reading news in this year or has been reading Science or Nature cannot but be impressed by the dramatic flow of breakthroughs in post-pandemic medicine, in climate change knowledge, in new quantum materials, in breakthroughs in energy generation and storage, in experimental gene therapies. And yet, despite all these breakthroughs, there are still so many fundamental questions we cannot answer. A few examples, randomly picked. What ecosystems exist on the ocean floors, kilometers between the surface? What ecosystems exist below the ocean floors? Scientists have barely scratched these questions, no pun intended. How will we, or even will we, be able to develop robots which can reason, can empathize, can make decisions like a human? Can we engineer life from scratch? Responses to these questions will reshape who we are as humans, how our societies work, and our relation to our planet, which is, after all, as Carl Sagan so eloquently said, the only home we have. This is why it has never been more important than today that we anticipate and therefore use our knowledge about possible futures to make decisions today. This allows us to gain agency over our future. In them, we can make informed decisions that will guide the next days, years, and decades. We go to the radar. The radar, as introduced, is a tool. It is a tool for science anticipation. Today, we launched the 2024 edition of the radar. It contains carefully curated briefings about the state of the art in 40 emerging areas of research, science, and technology. It provides outlook regarding potential developments over the next 5, 10, and 25 years. The radar is rooted in solid methodology that relies on two basic principles. First, in the radar, we stick to science. We strive to understand what may be possible or even probable in a scientific field, but we refrain as much as possible from considering what may be desirable or preferable. Not that this is not important, quite to the contrary, but this question is so important that it needs to be addressed by all of us and cannot be delegated to the scientists. Second, we apply the rigor of the scientific method to the process of science anticipation, including the principles of deep expertise, academic rigor, and peer review. We want the GESDA Science Breakthrough Radar to be an open and free source, accessible and usable by the broadest possible audience. Now, admittedly, it's a very deep, it's a very condensed, it's a very rich resource, and therefore, to facilitate its access this year, we have launched Radar AI, a new AI tool which provides an easy way to access and understand the complexity of future science and its relation to the problems of humanity. The 2024 edition also gives a list of scientific trends which we have identified as having a particularly high anticipation potential. So, for example, one of the highlights of the 2024 edition of our Viller Anticipation Workshop was on eco-augmentation. Eco-augmentation is a great example of how the convergence of transformative advances in many fields of science give humanity new powerful tools in the future. So, for example, new advances in AI, synthetic biology, complex system science, and space observation come together to allow us in the future to not only read, but also write entire ecosystems. Some researchers, for example, are actively working on bringing extinct species back to life, while others aim to enhance the resilience and robustness of existing ecosystems. And as we understand better how life adapts in the deep of the seas, at the poles, or other extreme environments, new possibilities emerge to tackle some of today's problems, from resilient food production to antimicrobial resistance. All this will be discussed at our summit, where we will reflect on the implications and the anticipated science and technology developments, and take action together to ensure that benefits are shared by all and risks identified and mitigated. Let me close by emphasizing that the GESDA Science Breakthrough Radar is the collective work of over 2,100 scientists from 83 countries around the globe that have all contributed through dedicated workshops, symposia, and survey. I'd like to extend my thanks, personal and in the name of GESDA, to them all, and I encourage you all, ladies and gentlemen, to watch their talks and interact with them during the summit. They are the science behind the radar. Thank you very much for your attention.